So Wayne, what are we looking at?
Basically, what a hand-painted backdrop looks like, as opposed to like a paper roll, a sweep, the pattern, the texture, the way the light hits it, or reflects off of it, or doesn't reflect off of it.
Like we're here at GCS Agency Gallery, Jackson Square in San Francisco, and they have this photo backdrop, these photo backdrops featured in an art gallery. Why? Why would we be here looking at
I would say this is the advantage is not many people actually get to see a Schmidli backdrop.
Schmidli backdrops.
A Schmidli backdrop. So they're hand-painted backdrop. The backdrops, whether they're on canvas or muslin, what they provide and what they do are totally different than a white, gray, or black paper backdrop, which are all fine. But when you transition over to a hand-painted or a canvas backdrop, it allows you to get some depth, to have some soft out of focus areas, or literally, it can look like a park scene, but you're in a studio.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of different aspects to it. Several lifetimes ago, in Southern California, doing assignments and working on assignments, when people would say, okay, this is what we're gonna do, and blah, 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 and they would tell me how it's gonna be set up and all of this. And I would basically say, no, here's a number. You can call this person. They will instruct you on how to get a Schmidli backdrop here, a hand-painted backdrop, not a paper backdrop. Oh, no, that's going to be cost prohibitive. No, you don't understand the difference that Marco's backdrops make. It's that impressive.
Wow.
So seeing it here at GCS is pretty impressive, especially when you look and it's, I'm thinking back to a lifetime. For me, it's almost like full circle to see them here.
Yeah.
Because they really helped the early version of me do what I wanted to do.
Wow.
By not having to rely on, standard paper backdrops. Hello, everyone. My name is Wayne Serrano, and I am currently with the Leica store in San Francisco. And we are celebrating our 10-year mark this month. So it's pretty exciting, and everything that goes on there, to the gallery shows, to the receptions, to the workshops, it's just all immersive, everything Leica.
Yeah, there seems to always be a really incredible art gallery in the store. In fact, whenever I have people in the city, I typically will always bring them to Leica SF, even if they don't shoot Leica, because I know they'll appreciate the gallery and the bookstore. It's a very unique experience, I feel like, for Leica stores.
It is, and I think the thing that is unique is the fact that, in particular, everyone there is a creative person, either a photographer primarily, or someone else whose capabilities are creative-centric. It's a creative group. Everyone can take an idea and meld it into something. I know we've produced quite a bit of content. There's a lot of information from the staff, the people, collectively and individually. Everyone's really talented, and I think that's what makes the store unique. Also, the fact that everybody really loves photography.
And that's so obvious when you go in there.
And I would agree. And it, yes, Leica cameras and lenses and all of that, but understanding that, people have a passion for photography, whether you're taking pictures or making photographs, it's pretty amazing what the equipment can do based on what you want to do.
Yeah, and you even have some portraits hanging up in the Leica SF. We were just actually talking about the portrait you have of John Mayer. He's probably like the greatest living guitarist, and you have a portrait of him.
He's a Leica guy. But yes, but I would say, there are other photos. All of us, I think in the store, we are all on social media to one degree or another, doing different things, but the concurrence with what everybody does, it's, I always use the terminology, it's like the tide, it ebbs and flows, it changes, but it's always there, and it's pretty positive all the time.
Whenever I'm in the city and I go in the Leica store, I always leave inspired. Whether I'm just there for a few minutes looking at the current gallery that's set up, or I go browse some photo books I've never seen before.
The books are pretty awesome.
There's always a book I've never seen just out on the table. And I'll go in there and I'll just, if I use this magazine as an example, I'll just literally just pick up a book and I'll just flip through it. And then sometimes I walk out with one, and other times it's almost just like going to a public library.
Right.
And just walk in and you just look around and get inspired and head out.
And I think in one aspect, when you look at the current product line on one side of the store, or you look at the gallery space on the other side of the store, then when you get to the book selection, the book collection it's pretty amazing.
Photo books, I feel like if you watching and you don't really know like photo books, it's like people might have 49 followers on Instagram, but have a book in the Leica store, and that book is like next level photography mastery. And yet like
it is.
I feel like our current generation of photographers, they equate that following number with skill. But really like, you can find books out there of people that could care less about social media, but they're making like true art.
There was also, we had on a weekend where we brought in a lot of people how to make a zine. It was amazing what people created in how their photography became a zine, and what they did from a marketing aspect, from publishing, from how do they put it together. It's pretty inspiring because everyone came in, and some people came in thinking, I can do this. Well, yeah, because there's a whole community that supports. If you have a question, they don't hold back. They answer it. They help each other.
And that's one thing I feel like is really great about the photography community is there's not a lot of gatekeeping. I mean, it seems like there would be a lot of people that are like, well, that's my knowledge and I'm not sharing that with you. But I have just not found that to be the case. And maybe that's like the Leica community. Maybe it's different than maybe the Canon or Nikon or Sony. I don't know. There's definitely a sense of camaraderie and community that exists.
And that's interesting because a lot of people that come into the store, the first thing they've heard of a rangefinder, but it's too hard. And the more you talk, and once they handle one and they look at it and experience it, understanding that focusing is not that difficult. And all of a sudden, the things that they thought may be problematic, and then they could see a photo on a digital camera, and it's like, this is amazing. Yes, and that's all at 2 minutes, and you just did that. Do you still think it's hard? And it's not. So, and I always share people, I could tell you everything I know and just do a brain transfer. And when you apply it, you're going to apply it through your eyes, and it's going to be different. That's the cool thing, the fact that you can take that information, that knowledge that all of us have and we share every day, but once you assimilate it and put it to practical use, it's your way of doing it.
Right.
It's now different.
In the YouTube space, I get a lot of comments all the time of people that are interested in shooting Leica, but it feels unobtainable because it is a very high price point. I mean, it's not like your typical, I can go grab this camera tomorrow at Best Buy. It's a very unique, it's got a big entry point. But with that said, there is something really special about it and the connection that I think people have to those cameras. And I think it's more than price point. I know, if you invest a lot of money in something, you have this deep ownership of it. You're like, oh yeah, I've spent, $9,000 on this. This is my camera. This is my system, whether you like it or not. But for someone like yourself, you're shooting on a camera that is 15 years old or so. I would love for you to share a little bit about why, what for you, let's do this. Share why you shoot a rangefinder. You kind of alluded to it a second ago, like the connection to focusing, for instance. But then I would love for you to share why you choose to shoot an M9 when you're a guy that has access, at the Leica store, to the latest and greatest.
And I do use those, so they are fantastic. They allow you to do anything you want to do. An SL with an M to L adapter using M lenses, it's amazing. It really is. Making use of, in my opinion, an MP film camera, it's perfect. It really is. Yes, people will say, why those two cameras? Well, one has Tri-X or Portrait 400. Normally Tri-X in a film camera. The other, the M9, has a beautiful, sensor.
Yeah, those colors are just
to me,
unreal.
and I have shot several lifetimes of Kodachrome 25, and that's what I did exclusively. As I transitioned and got exposed to a lot of projects with Tri-X, at some point it really dawned on me that, and then Kodachrome was going away and they were doing all of that, but it dawned on me that the graphic nature of black and white allows you to see the structure and the graphic nature of things. Kodachrome is what we see, the colors, the color palette, and and everybody's different. Everybody sees differently, but I like those colors, and that's probably why I like, Portra 160 or Portra 400. The bottom line is everything just looks the way it should.
With the rangefinder system, when you think about a camera like this, small form factor, manual focus, what is the appeal for you?
Well, I would say because of what you get used to and how you do it, I really think that just being able to pick up the camera and make use of it, it's unobtrusive and it doesn't get in my way. It just does what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
When you bring it to your eye and you're looking through, and I normally wear a diopter. So when I look through and I adjust, and I demonstrate this to people all the time, that it's not hard to focus. It's just a matter of getting used to developing muscle memory and motor skills, and how you do it, how you stand, and what you do, and anticipating the photo you want to make. Because I already know how I would photograph the individual I'm looking at, and I think we do it subconsciously, and you see things and you visualize things, and sometimes you don't get to make a photo. Everybody loves cantaloupe, watermelon, pineapple, figs. Everybody loves fruit, but you peel off the husk to get to the really sweet part. And I think that's what this allows everyone to do. It does nothing other than what you want to do.
I love that you mentioned the muscle memory. I remember when I first got mine, and it took like some getting used to, like where I know it's closest, where I know like how far that is, like just to know where it is. And I think a lot of people that are critical of a system like this, they get it and they don't put the hours in to develop the memory. They're just like, oh, that was really hard. I misfocus on 9 out of 10 shots. This isn't the camera for me.
But that 10th shot though is going to bowl people over,
and then you stick with it and you just get more comfortable. Practice makes perfect.
It's 5 out of 5 shots, and then pretty soon you're only making 3 shots, and 2 are stunning.
I wish I could get there.
But and I always say it's what we think is an awesome shot. Everyone else is saying this is incredible, and you're thinking, yeah, I'm striving for incredible. I'm glad y'all think so, but I'm still trying to get the one awesome shot. Right.
I shoot a ton of landscapes, and so I'm at infinity all the time. Like when I'm out in national parks or walking around at night, I mean, if anything for me, if it's over 30 feet away, I'm basically good. So I don't even, when I'm out doing landscapes, I get a lot of questions about shooting Leica, because it's not really known to be like this great landscape camera, but it's a camera and it can be whatever you want it to be. And so like I enjoy, hiking with this. I enjoy because it's so small. It's so light. Like it's not like I used to carry, these big Sony cameras and Canon before that. I was in the Middle East for 2 weeks about 6 years ago, and I carried around 60 pounds of gear on my back. Canon gear, and I'm just like, no more. I'm going to a smaller system.
And I can relate to that because I used to carry a bag with 7 L lenses. And a couple of cameras. I was a Canon CPS member. I sent them a portfolio. They said, oh yes, anything you need, you call us and we'll send it to you. And I did that for many years. 7 lenses, 300 millimeter lens, a 400 millimeter lens, and so anything you needed had access to. And today, if you're a CPS member, it'll give you priority on repairs. It was totally different. But when I transitioned over to Leica, I did a project. It turned out extremely well. It took me about 2.5 weeks of analyzing and looking at these contact sheets and trying to figure out why it looked so good. I did nothing different other than use a Leica camera and lens. And then I made a phone call, went into LA, and I slid all my gear across the counter. And I picked up an M6 and a 28 millimeter lens. Amazing. And never looked back.
So Wayne, you had mentioned that, you shoot wide open. Like, is it 100% of the time you're shooting wide open? Or, I would say, like, is it above 90%?
I would say 99.5% is wide open, because to make clients happy, I will do 1.4, I'll do f4, I'll do f8.
Yeah.
Once they see the result,
they pick 1.4.
They go 0.95 or 1.4. Yeah. And 1.4 with a 28 or 1.4 with a 75, because the background, we don't see wide open. We don't see f8. Human vision, we see everything is a nice out of focus background,
Right.
refocus on the subject. So when you do that with Leica glass, which is amazing, you have a really natural rendition because the naturalness of the lens, the neutrality, and the resolution, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So wide open 99.9% of the time.
So one thing I feel like that I hear a lot is shooting at 1.4 or for your self, 0.95, like it's so hard. It's so hard. But you nail focus, and you actually showed me several weeks ago with the Noctilux, like just how to nail focus almost every time. And it was something that I had never heard of before. So I'd love for you to share maybe with the people here that might have a hard time nailing focus wide open. What's the sweet spot? What's the secret?
I say this a lot to people, and I know it works because I've seen people do amazing things. Even though we are talking, the reality is my left eye is closer to you. If someone was out here and I'm talking to you and I look at them, my right eye is closer to them. So with you, with the camera, you making a photo of me, you're going to focus on my right eye.
Right.
And ever so slightly, and the eye is almond shaped, but when you turn the camera a little 45 degrees ever so slightly, now it's easier to see.
Yeah, and it really is. Like, in fact, I've been putting that into practice because that is a really cool little trick. So what you had showed me was, you put it up and then you're putting your focus patch where, but then when you flip it at this angle here, it gets way more clear. Like I was blown away by that.
And if you trust your eyes, you can differentiate between out of focus and focus, and it makes it easy to nail a shot. The other thing I tell people is, it's a little slow at first. Well, hand holding the camera, not stabbing the shutter release button, but when you hold it and you get it good, take your hand off the focusing tab. And then if you're standing correctly, you can just put the weight on your front and rear foot ever so slightly, and it's a fine focus, and you'll see it pop in and out of focus, and you can nail a photograph very easily.
So you're at 1.4, you're getting it dialed in, you're doing that 45 to get it really close, and then you bring it back, and now you just use your body to
ever so slightly
fine tune it, and when you feel like you have it,
but I tell people, it's if you ever see anybody surfing, they don't take off on a surfboard and stand on the board. They
you kick your feet, whether you're goofy or a regular foot. One of your feet are going forward, not side by side.
And when you're standing and your feet are about 2.5 feet apart, all you have to do is just put a little weight over your forward or rear knee. And I've shared this with people, and I said, if you get confused, come on back, and we'll go through the process. So they get their camera, and they make some amazing photographs, but they want all of them to be in focus, and they have it. After a while, it all becomes second nature in how to make a photo, and everyone they make really great photos. It really is easy. And I tell somebody, here's the keys, start up the car, we're going out to dinner, get in the car. You don't think about, key,
ignition,
gear, no, you go and you're on the way, and then you're parked and you're there. Because you do it so often, it's just the repetition, you don't even think about it. And it's the same thing. It's an amazing tool that does only what you want it to do. And that's the beauty of it, because you do what you're supposed to do, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Well, Wayne, let's go out and let's put some of these things into practice, because even whenever you're walking around San Francisco, you're shooting wide open?
I do.
Yeah, okay. I'm super pumped to try this, and we're gonna take the viewers along with us, and we're gonna go out and we're gonna keep our lenses wide open. For me, I'm gonna be using my 35 Summilux at 1.4 on the M11. I'm guessing you're gonna be using your Noctilux on the M9?
I like the 50.
It's
a great lens.
I use my 50 Summilux for a lot of things, but I've never really used it like for street. It just everything feels really tight. But I definitely feel like I need to do that. So maybe I'll use a 50 instead, and we'll go 50 and 50 and go out and walk.
Well, I think just to cruise along Grant Street until we cross California, and then we should get to the marketplace.
I expected it to be a little more crowded down here.
Well, it will be. Everyone is walking. Well, no, everyone they congregate. Yeah, it'll be pretty packed.
So Wayne and I walked the Chinatown night market with some other friends, and I put into practice some of the things that we talked about in the interview. I'm shooting my 50 Summilux wide open on the M11 monochrome. I think I did okay for the most part in efficiently getting focus at 1.4 and not missing the moment. This was my first time being at the night market, and it was cool having Ben, Heechin, Jesus, Will, and even my good friend Scott along for our photo walk. When I take a photo of Scott, I always try to make sure to soft focus, which you can see I perfectly did here. In all seriousness, I've got a link below to his upcoming workshop, so check it out. What I enjoyed the most about this photo walk was that everybody was having a really good time, except this guy. Wayne even let me shoot his Noctilux, which lives up to the hype. I am trying to not love this lens. There were DJs, karaoke on the street, a Frank Sinatra impersonator who was basically spot on, and of course, some really f***ed up stuff like this poor dog and this cat in a backpack, and costumes. I used Wayne's tip to kick the camera to a 45-degree angle to dial focus better, and it was perfect. And when the dragons arrived, it was honestly one of the coolest things I've ever seen in the city. I tried to get some photos throughout this, but it was very fast moving, which made nailing focus at 1.4 challenging. But I got some shots that I'm happy with. It was an incredible combination of photography, community, and the beauty of the people in San Francisco. And of course, the wisdom of Wayne Serrano. Wayne, any final words for the people that are watching?
I would say, and I'm a firm believer in this, if you see something that looks interesting, make a photograph. The chances of it captivating other people, pretty high. Make photographs.
Make photographs. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.